Yo, what is poppin', my guys? It is your boy Ashley, and today we are coming at you with our IBL Week 12 match. This is the last match we'll be playing for Season 3 unless we grab a win here. So for those of you who have not been around on the channel, you might not know that we are currently, if you saw the thumbnail, you probably know. You guys can read. We're 6-5 right now. Winning this game will put us at 7-5 and actually pretty much lock us for the playoffs as long as Kurt Pointblanke beats Sohan, the OPJellicent, which Sohan has been having a little bit of a rough season, whereas Kurt is, I think, solidly in playoff contention. So that matchup is in our favor as well. But that's really all it comes down to. So we just need to win here, and this is a game that we won last time. However, it is versus an incredibly talented coach, Eric, who I get to play again. So regardless of the outcome of this game, we will get to play again in the MPL in the coming weeks, which, if you guys haven't hit the videos in which I talk about this, I will be doing MPL the movie once that season is over. One big long video with all of my replays, because I joined into that league late. I took over a team that was 0-3, and so I didn't want to add the unnecessary stress of recording and uploading while building with a team I'm not familiar with. But we're not here to talk about the MPL. We're here to talk about the IBA, and a couple of key differences from last game. We picked up Whimsicott and Tentacruel over Whimsicott, Tentacruel, and Swampert for Electros, Shaman, and Escavalier, Shaman, and whatever our water type was. I cannot even remember. Slowking? Yeah, Slowking. So, a couple of key differences, but the Pokemon that put in the most work last game, being Infernape, Aerodactyl, and Scolipede, as well as Hoopa, are all still here. So, the main game plan really has not changed. I brought the exact same Infernape set as last time, which is totally lost on me, but I know it is Scarf with U-Turn, Flare Blitz, Close Combat, and something else. So just your standard Scarf Revenge Killer Infernape set. We brought a Mega Aerodactyl. This is Stone Edge, Defog, Roost, and Stealth Rock. So actually big shouts to Matt O'Shea this week, who basically, he did build every set on this team except for the Hoopa and the Infernape. So big shouts to Matt for really helping me out with that. This Aerodactyl set in particular is just to be a defensive pivot. It can take a lot of hits from a lot of the different Pokemon on his team, and it is able to get up rocks, keep rocks away, and basically just keep itself healthy. It is max defense Aerodactyl, so it's going to be living a lot of hits that normally it would not. And seeing as how I'm much more of an offensive player, and Eric does know this, I think I like to bring in this Aerodactyl set because he would calc it with no HP or barely any HP investment and be like, okay, yeah, I can do that, I can go for that, and it might cost him. So that was really the general idea behind that. We have Focus Sash Scolipede with Earthquake, Mega Horn, Rock Slide, and Swords Dance. Now this is basically the exact same set as last time, except we are not rocking the Z move on Scolipede. Just didn't seem as necessary this week because it wasn't really necessary last time. And the Focus Sash is really nice for getting it in on something like that Xurkitree. If the Xurkitree is powered up, basically this thing is going to be able to stop one of his members from sweeping. He does have a Charizard X, which is another thing I was very worried about. This is going to be able to stop a lot of his members from sweeping while also starting the sweep of my own by getting the KO and the +1 in speed, or possibly the Swords Dance and the +1 in speed, depending on what I'm going up against. Obviously, if I'm going up against the Manaphy, I don't anticipate him bringing Scarf Manaphy, but the Xurkitree would be different. I would have to set my priorities different because, there is always the possibility that it could be Scarfed, and I'm not running a whole lot of speed. Actually, no, never mind. I am running 160 speed Jolly this week, so that is a big psych on that, and I'm not as worried about Scarf Xurkitree as long as it hasn't started setting up before I can already come in. But we'll go ahead and talk about Whimsicott. This is Leftovers, Stun Spore, Leech Seed, Moonblast, and U-Turn. This is just a really, really annoying set meant to slow him down, whittle him away, and break him down emotionally and physically with the Stun Spore. So that's really all I have to say about that Whimsicott set. We have the AV Electros. I mean, that's the standard set, basically. AV Electros. It says Volt Switch, Super Fang, Giga Drain, and Flamethrower, because that's going to hit a good majority of his team. Even the Skarmory. Even if I don't want to Volt Switch out, I can Super Fang on it and do a good chunk of damage. So really happy with the Electros set this week. But as I said, it's pretty much the same set with different moves for me every week. So nothing too earth-shattering there. We have Hoopa. This is I believe, I don't have my Hoopa set written down, but I'm like 100% sure that this is either Trick Room Hoopa or Sub Hoopa, but I cannot remember which in particular. So we'll just go ahead and go through the game and talk about it. So as I said, this is pretty much, okay, I guess I'll pause it real quick. This is pretty much the most important game I've played all season, because it determines whether or not I make my very first playoffs in the Draft League format. I mean, I know there's a lot of you guys that have subscribed to me recently. Big shouts out to all of you, by the way. I'm very happy to have your support. But facts, cards on the table. This is my 4th season where I have actually drafted the team and played through, and this will be my first winning season, or neutral season, because as of last week, I cannot go negative in win-loss. So this is the first season I've done that in. So I'm already really happy with how the season goes. But making a playoff push would be huge. So I was very, very, very nervous for this game. And we're just going to go ahead and talk right about it. I'm going to lead Aerodactyl and switch straight out, because I don't want to risk anything with this circuitry. It can be very strong, especially once those Beast Boosts start rolling. And yeah, so I'm going to switch right here into this boy and get the Volt Switch off. He does miss the Toxic, which definitely sucks, because my Electros is a little bit bulkier than I think his team would like. It's a great pivot, and it does have moves to hit everything that he brought. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and U-turn. I just want to pause real quick and go ahead and say that I'm so sorry for earlier when I said that I had Super Fang on Electros for Skarmory. Yeah, I have Flamethrower. I just remembered that. I don't want you guys to think I'm a dumbass. Anyway, we are going to U-turn on the Persian, go right out here into Hoopa, and that is basically going to let us nab a kill. I mean, I do click Dark Pulse, but look at that damage. That is crazy. So basically, in my mind, I've secured that every time this Donphan comes in, I'm getting, or if I can at least play around, I have a little bit of Volt Turn on here. If I can play around and keep getting that Hoopa in on things that it's slower than, he really does not have optimal switch-ins if he doesn't predict correctly. So he is going to go ahead and sacrifice the Persian to Toxic my Electros there, as I'm just going to go hard into Infernapes. So here I figure I can just U-turn on whatever he wants to bring in, which he does bring in this. I'm just going to U-turn hard out into the Electros. I really don't see why not, as he is just going to Earthquake, and we're going to eat that very, very well. So here I believe I'll fire off the Giga Drain, but he's going to go ahead and switch out into his Circuitry, and that's going to do 28%, so not bad. Not bad at all. But that Toxic really, really sucks, because if we weren't Toxic, I think we would really be able to 1v1 this thing. As you're going to see, he's going to lock himself into the Energy Ball, as I'm going to Volt Switch out. So here I assume that he specs, so I'm going to go right out here into my Aerodactyl, and he is going to hard switch out into his Skarmory, which pretty much confirmed that for me. I make a pretty solid double back into my Electros, because even with an Iron Head or a Brave Bird or anything like that, he cannot kill me from this range. And I'm just going to try and go for the Volt Switch. I really wanted to Giga Drain there, but I was afraid I would just give him free rocks or something like that. So, oh well, you know how it goes. He's going to knock me out with the Ice Shard after the Poison, and we are down. Well, we were tied 5-5, but that does give me a very free switch in into my Hoopa here. So I go for the Energy Ball, thinking he might go Diancie instead of Skarmory or something like that. And it turns out that he just stayed in and sacked off the Donphan. So I'm going to go hard switch. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was Choice Specs Hoopa this week. That's exactly what I was. I'm going to hard switch out right into my Whimsicott, because I know I can take anything that it really wants to go for. And as predicted, we eat. So I'm going to Leech Seed here on this Skarmory as he starts setting up the spikes. So I was not too concerned, because Aerodactyl outspeeds everything on his team, and I pretty much guaranteed to get the defog off, in my opinion, at this point in the game. I'm just going to U-turn right out into Infernape. He's going to set up another layer of spikes, and because of the Leech Seed, we're going to be right back at 100%. and looking pretty clean. So I decided to U-turn here, thinking he would switch because he knows and I know that if that Skarmory goes down, my Scolipede just kind of has free reign. But unfortunately, he predicts that, stays in, and just goes for the roost. So that's not ideal. He's pretty much at the exact same level of health. But because of the Leech Seed, we didn't really lose any health on Infernapes, so I'm not too worried about it. We're just going to defog right here, get rid of all these spikes, as he's just going to go for another layer. I mean, this wasn't really the best idea to go into Aerodactyl here. I should have just doubled hard back out into my Infernape, but I didn't. So he's going to set up another layer of spikes as my Hoopa is just going to get the Leech Seed recovery back. And here, I believe I don't have any reason not to just hit something nice. Oh yeah, we hit Focus Blast and just absolutely rip that Skarmory from the sky. So basically, the game plan here is, my game plan here is I want to get my Aerodactyl in on this circuitry, defog, get my Scolipede in, utilize the Focus Sash to live a hit, get my Swords Dance off, and then finish the game, because the Swords Dance is the only way I can take out Diancie and Manaphy at this point. He did a good job of preserving the win cons, or for some of the bulkier mons that can take on my Scolipede. Actually, looking at his team, he has the Donphan and the Skarmory also take on Scolipede fairly well, but now that they're gone, it really has become a lot easier for me. Just not as easy as it would have been if I had been packing something like the Bug EMZ or the Ground EMZ. But we're sitting at 5-3 right now, and we're looking pretty solid. So I'm just going to switch right here into my Whimsicott, take the spikes damage. He is going to just fire off the T-Bolt. That's going to do 37%, so not a huge amount, but not too bad either. I'm just going to fire off the Leech Seed here, as he is going to T-Bolt again, bring us down to 38. And so here, basically, I went for the U-turn, hoping that I would live, be able to eat this hit, and then just U-turn right out into something else. Okay, so here is where I made the mistake. Playing this game, whenever this thing first came out, and I did not calc for this, that's mistake number one. When this thing came out, I assumed it was Specs. Automatically just assumed it was Specs. That was in my mind the whole time, that this was a Specs circuitry, because it did pretty well against my team. Obviously, once the Electros goes down, nothing on my team really wants to take a Specs Thunderbolt. Well, the thing is, there's other items as well, not just the one that you think of first. Like the Choice Scarf, for instance, is an item that a lot of people use. And I have an Infernape here that outspeeds a Choice Scarfed circuitry, because it is also Choice Scarfed. But I was a little bit, not cocky, but I was so convinced that it was Specs that I decided I wanted to save Infernape in the back in case the Manaphy got up a Z Rain Dance, which is stupid because Z status is banned here. And basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into Aerodactyl and try and defog, as he reveals that he is actually Scarfed. He is going to T-Bolt, absolutely obliterate my Aerodactyl because he is at +1 and we don't have any special bulk. And now he is at +2. So here, I go on tilt. I immediately just go, well, my only chance to win this game is if Hoopa can live a +2 Thunderbolt. That's the only way. That's literally the only way I could imagine. Because at this point, I was so frustrated with myself for being locked on to the fact that it was Specs, that I wasn't thinking about my team as a whole. This Hoopa idea was the first one I had, and I win it. Had I gone Infernape here, I still would have been in a lot better position, because this Hoopa would have been in a good position to live a hit from Diancie, and I could have very easily locked myself into Energy Ball. And had I taken out the Diancie, then the Scolipede can live any one hit from the Manaphy and knock it out as well. But I don't. I go into the Hoopa, and he's going to Thunderbolt and knock me out. So now, finally, at this point, I'm going to go into Infernape and click Close Combat and knock it out. But that's what I should have done. I lost. I mean, you can tell by the way I'm talking. You can tell by the matchup that we have left. I lost. It was totally a very winnable game. Had I taken out that Xurkitree with the Infernape, I still would have had Aerodactyl, Scolipede, and Hoopa all to take on the Manaphy and the Diancie, which was more than enough. I missed the Mega Horn, which would have put it in range of my Infernape, so that I at least would have been a 1-0 loss to save a little bit of differential, but unfortunately that's not how it went. I'm really upset about this game. This game is going to haunt me for a long time, and it's all because I feel like I played really well to start off with, and I allowed myself to get tilted so easily because of that Xurkitree. I'm very depressed. That was a very winnable game, and I mean, I've choked before, but I haven't choked away playoffs before, and that was a little depressing. Good game to Eric. I mean, he plays very well with this team. It's always, these games are always close. Like the games that we're playing have always been nice, but this one stings. This one really stings. This is our last IBA video for this season. Well, I guess I'll be doing my draft analysis. I'll be going through talking about all the Pokemon that I used this season and how much I liked them, what I liked about them, what I didn't like about them. And, you know, I look forward to that video coming out. But this game is definitely this is gonna haunt me for a long time. 6-6 is not bad though. That is a huge improvement over our last couple of seasons. Before now, our best season was a 4-win season in which 2 of those wins were forfeit wins. So to go 6-6 after just starting less than a year ago in a league like the IBA that has such good people, I've had great wins this season over coaches like Aaron, over coaches like Noivern, Deneki, Eric in our first matchup. I beat out Ben 2-0. There's lots of really solid games that I've played this season, and I'm really proud of how this season has gone as a whole. And when I'm depressed here, I'm not being salty. I think Eric played a very good game. It's just a moment of silence for my season, I guess. This is what you can ask anybody. This is what I aimed for when I started the season. I told everyone I wanted to have at least a 6-6 season, but I think the at least part of that phrase is what's gotten me depressed, because technically I did hit my mark, but I would like to try and overachieve, and unfortunately that did not really happen here, but I'm hoping it can happen again in the future. Thank you guys all who have been stopping by and watching my IBA matches. I really appreciate it. I've got a lot of love on this season so far, and I'm really happy to have shown my worth as a draft league competitor when I'm allowed to pick my own team, and I think that it's just going to get better. I've learned so much about all the different Pokemon, which I will talk about in that video. I have learned so much about all the different Pokemon that I've used this season, and I'm really excited to take everything I've learned and move forward with that. So again, thank you guys so much. We have IBL next week. We have MPL the movie coming soon. I have a project with Aaron coming. I have all sorts of really fun stuff coming at you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy it as much as you've enjoyed this season so far. So with that being said, it's your boy Ashley, and I am gone. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that if you wish, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.